Once black people in Africa are good at fighting for liberation, but they are not good at sustaining that liberation and taking the country forward. The ANC and the DA, we see them as the same devil. They have to be out of power. It is a fact that the Patriotic Alliance single-handedly has brought down the DA to its knees. We are bringing back the death penalty. You must hang them. Injection is too expensive.
Is there something that most people don't know about you?
Yeah.
I know you've been in the
There's a lot of things they don't know about me.
One thing is about how on time you are, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that deep down I'm a family man. I love family structure. I'm a traditionalist. I love our traditions and culture. I believe in the indigenous structure of South Africa. People don't know that I believe that to get South Africa right, the kings and the chiefs' role must be defined in the constitution, of which this one does not. So I'm a hardcore traditionalist.
Okay, that was...
Most people don't know that.
Definitely. Where did the arriving early and being on time for your engagements, how did that start, and where did you learn that lesson first?
It's throughout my life, from childhood. My grandmother, my grandfather, time was of essence. On Sundays, you had to be on time to go to church. You had to be on time to come back home. Otherwise, a slipper or a branch from the tree would land on your backside. But also crime. You know, there's some things that you can't compromise when you are committing a crime or planning a crime.
Sure.
So time is one of those, because everything is planned around time.
Wow.
How many minutes are you going to take from there? How long are you taking to the car? How long is the car going to drive from where you are to where you would exchange? So crime taught me timekeeping. But also, when you are in prison, everything is time.
Sure.
If you miss a minute, you might just miss your lunch. So in prison, it's time. Waking up, you have to wake up at a particular time, go and shower, be ready for this, be ready for that. But the most important thing that taught me crime was business. I have seen people lose on a deal that was cast in stone. I would sit with very wealthy people and they would say, we are impressed. This is going through, and a guy arrives late and they say, no, this is not the type of guy we're going to work with. So that taught me the importance of time. At least I've seen 4 guys lose on a lucrative deal because they were late by 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Because this person has given you their time and you don't take them seriously and their time seriously. Therefore, they don't see a future with you. So I've always been on time and they will find me there.
Yeah.
So every time there's a business meeting, I would be the first to arrive. And I guess it got into my system and got entrenched. So, yeah.
The journey of the Patriotic Alliance and where you are in this election, what do you think is behind the traction you've been able to get? Because you're being spoken about as, one of the parties to watch in this election. Politics is not easy, and yet you've built yourself to this point. What are the lessons that have taken the party to this new stage in its history?
Number one, we are not politicians, so we did not get into politics through the political ranks of branches and regions. We are community activists who are business people who love this country. I have the political background. Gayton has got his political background. That's a discussion for another day.
Sure.
But I was first arrested when I was 14 years for interrogation. I was one of the leaders of COSAS in my township. I was sent to prison when there was a state of emergency in 1986 when I was 15. And I spent 6 months at a adult prison where a lot of political education happened. I chose not to participate in politics when I finished university and went to teach. But it is there. And I think the journey of my life was preparing me for this. The journey of Gayton's life was preparing him for this destiny. So after I left the EFF, we agreed. And I said to myself, this country will not be changed by your, for a lack of better word, I would say, traditional politicians.
Sure.
Guys who have grown through the political ranks. This country needs people who have got a love for this country and the people of South Africa. This country needs a businessman who loves the people, who is passionate about the development of South Africa. The lessons, and we also learned that what's missing amongst all these politicians, including in Africa, not just South Africa, in African politics, is patriotism. Once black people in Africa are good at fighting for liberation, but they are not good at sustaining that liberation and taking the country forward, because they lose that sense of patriotism, because they then get this sense of entitlement that we've been in the struggle, therefore we must also leave. And that is why we went into politics. And that is why the choice of that name, Patriotic Alliance. A patriot is someone who loves his country and his community. So we are an alliance, a union, a get-together of people who love South Africa. So our name defines us. I tried to argue the name when I was with the Reds, but that's a discussion for another day. Because I had a problem with this name of Economic Freedom Fighters. So this name defines us. And I think that's one of the things that have gotten people to kind of align with us. But also what made us play an important part in politics is that the colored people are marginalized. The colored people's agenda is nowhere around the political table in South Africa. Every party that is led by a black man find its roots in the black communities. The two parties that are led by white people find their roots in the white communities. And the Indian parties that are led by Indian people find their roots in the Indian communities. But there is no colored party that plays a significant role in our politics that is led by a colored person that represents that agenda. All these black parties are led by black people, but colored people join them. So colored people, I feel that they were made to be shy, to be scared, to bring their agenda around the political table. Because then they are called colored nationalists, they are called all sorts of names. And but Gayton was prepared to take this particular role. And our strategy was exactly that. Let us conscientize the colored people. Let us bring them to this political table where the agenda of the colored people can also be represented. You cannot solve the problems of South Africa when you alienate another race. My biggest problem, especially with the ANC and the EFF, which is my biggest problem when it comes to colored people, they both say in their policies they are fighting for black people in general, but Africans in particular. Now you ask them, who is black? They tell you black people, colored people, Indian people are black. Then you ask them, who is African? And they say black people. Where does that put a colored person? Let me make an example with yourself. You are colored, but your father is African. Where does that put you? Are you not an African? So the ANC and the EFF are saying that colored people are not part of this continent. What part of continent are they? My wife's father is colored. Her mother is Zulu. My children have colored blood. I am a mix of Zulu and Sotho. What does that make my children? So, and these are the issues that are not on the political table. That is why these parties would even articulate this racist nonsense with confidence and put it as part of their policy and manifesto. And you further get confused because the constitution during apartheid, it was clear. There were blacks and coloreds and whites. Colored people were classified as black by the white government, and they were white. So whether you are colored, whether you are black, you are classified as black. But then 1994 comes. The constitution separates colored people from black people. A constitution that has been written by this particular government led by the African National Congress. It now says white, colored, Indian, black. That's what the constitution says. And you see this government going to parliament and passing an equity law that further discriminates against colored people. And I have experienced that in my department at Transport, where a colored woman, CV was the best. She was shortlisted. She went to an interview and they saw that she's colored. She performed better than everyone else. They scored her high, all of them. Then the HR lady said, but this position is not targeting colored people. We thought this woman was white because of her surname. So the ANC's equity law recognizes white females to get jobs over and above the colored people. So these issues don't form part of the political dialogue in South Africa. And as the Patriotic Alliance, we are bringing these issues to form part of the political dialogue. I can go further to say the man who was in the forefront of establishing the ANC in Bloemfontein was Sol Plaatje, who is colored, by the way. When the struggle was having difficulties in the 80s, it was the colored people led by Alan Busak who kept the flame of the struggle burning. You've got a colored Umkhonto weSizwe member in the 80s, the only Umkhonto weSizwe soldier who fought alone, toe-to-toe, with the police, and the police invited the army for hours. That was Anton French. He is nowhere in the history books. He is nowhere even, they can't even pronounce his name. Yet he's the only Umkhonto weSizwe military soldier that fought toe-to-toe, fire to fire with the police until they invited the army and they threw a hand grenade to kill him. None of the black soldiers have done that. Yes, they've come to bomb and go and do that. This one went toe to toe. You've got well, what's his name? Krill. I'll remember his first name. He was killed in prison. But you don't hear talk about that. You hear talk of Steve Biko.
Sure. So you feel the ANC...
But Ashley Krill was
yeah.
also killed in prison.
Right.
Today, we mourn the Sharpeville massacre. Nobody speaks about the Athlone massacre. So, colored people are not only ostracized, but
Sure.
they are even being written off the history books. Their contribution to the struggle is minimized unless they were in a situation where they can be excluded, like Sol Plaatje. So the Patriotic Alliance is bringing this, and the PA is saying, let us all unite as South Africans, as patriots, as people who love this country, including the colored people. When we sit around the political table, let us talk about the issues that affect black people. Let us talk about the issues that affect colored people. But let us also bring the Indian people. Let us also bring the white people. Because in as much as white monopoly capital owns the economy, but there's also ordinary white people who are contributing positively to this country. And we cannot exclude them in that dialogue.
Sure.
Because some of them also believe that it is wrong what is being done by white monopoly capital. In fact, some of them were part of our struggle.
Thanks for watching SMWX. Before we get back to the episode, I just wanted to let you know the 4 ways that you can help support this channel if you want to see us growing bigger and better to keep you more entertained and informed. The first way is you can invite me to speak at your company, your school, your institution. You'll see the contact details down below. The second way is that you can become a member of this channel. Become a member, or you can give us a thanks. You'll see there's like a heart with a $sign in the ribbon below this video. Buy me and the team some coffee for this episode. The third way you can get involved is you can advertise on the channel. Now, I'd much rather the community of viewers would be advertisers on this channel than me going out to people who don't really know about SMWX and trying to explain it to them. So if you're a viewer and you have a business and you want to partner and you love this platform, let's partner on this channel. And then finally, you can buy merchandise, you can buy books. All this is in the description down below. Now let's get back to the episode. Absolutely. So, and it's really interesting to hear, how you identified the historical picture, but also the gap in the political market, if I can call it that, of a community in South Africa that isn't being spoken for, isn't being uplifted, feels outside on the margins, and have really stepped in to garner the support of that community along with other communities. Now, other political parties haven't been able to place the Patriotic Alliance. The DA thought they would be able to bring you into their fold. I think the ANC has also tried to bring you into the fold, but you've remained quite independent in the alliances you've chosen at different times in different places. The multi-party charter, of course, is the big opposition group that the DA is trying to lead. Talk us through why you decided not to join that opposition coalition.
There's three now. There's also what you'd call the Patriotic Front, which has MK, ACT, ATM, UDM, EFF, I understand is part of it, and other political parties, black political parties. It's a group of black parties.
Sure.
They call themselves the Patriotic Front. Number one, we said we don't want to be part, all our lives we've been part of gangs, criminal gangs, went into prison gangs. We said, let's stay away from political gangs for once, just in case we get into trouble with political gangs. Sure. But the ANC bloc, we want the ANC to be out of government. They have failed this country.
Sure.
We don't see why we should be part of a bloc of the ANC.
Yeah.
The Democratic Alliance bloc, we were approached by business people who obviously fund the DA, but there was also deliberations with the moonshot-packed parties to say, come join us. But we said to the business people, the conditions that we are putting are not for us. Number one, if you are going to fund this party, you must fund it because you believe in the leadership and the vision they have for this country. Don't give us conditions. So the condition was, after elections, you can't go into coalition with the ANC. Currently, as soon as you sign, you get out of coalition agreements with the ANC. We can't be dictated to by white money or any other money for that matter. Number two, we should not contest the Western Cape. We said we can never agree to that.
Wow.
So we saw this as a protection of the Democratic Alliance. Equally, the DA, like the ANC, has failed our people because the DA has run the city of Johannesburg. It is running Tshwane now. The DA has been running the Western Cape for years. They have failed our people. They are doing nothing in Khayelitsha. They are doing nothing in Kukuletu. They are doing nothing in Langa. They are doing nothing in Michelle's Plain, in Manningberg, in Kraaifontein, and so on. So the ANC and the DA, we see them as the same devil. They have to be out of power, the DA and the ANC, because they have failed to live up to what they have promised South Africans. And that is why we are in politics. We are in politics because of their failure. So we can't now be in a grouping with them. What are we offering our people? We also refuse to be part of this Patriotic Front.
Okay, so you were invited to be part of this a new alliance.
Yes,
okay.
We were invited, and they spoke to me specifically. And I said the PA will not be part of any political gang because we see everything here as being gangs that are trying to come together. But having said that, we will work with any party after elections. We have been consistent to say we'll work with anyone.
Right.
But it must be on the strength of negotiations. You must bring your numbers, we bring our numbers. We have no favorite. And once we have discussed the principles of the coalition, we will then say, who agrees to what we think will put us in a position that where we will serve our people better. If the DA moonshot packed our numbers are right, and we agree, they agree with us on how we think we can take this country forward, we'll go with them. If the ANC bloc understands how we think this country can move forward, we'll go with them, including the Patriotic Front. But we are not outrightly saying we are going with this one. Let's go work the ground. Let's go tell the people what is it that we can do. Once the people have voted, who knows? The people might even vote for us outright. Now you've locked yourself into a game, you know? But the DA can offer us, can agree, because they won't offer, but they can agree during negotiations that Gayton McKenzie is the best person to be the president. Now, and the ANC says, no, we can't give you presidency, we can only give you deputy president. So you've locked yourself now in a game. You can't come out of it. So we are saying as the PA, we want to stand outside because we are confident that we'll make a significant impact. We are confident that we'll get more votes from all South Africans, black, colored, Indian, and white. We know that we have built confidence in the constituency through the work that we are doing. So we don't want to be part of any groupings. We are saying, let us talk after elections and let's look at our numbers.
One thing that a lot of people haven't looked at because they've been thinking about, will the ANC come below 50 nationally, is the picture in the Western Cape where the DA is actually also under danger of losing its majority. And the rise of the PA, particularly in that province, seems to be the biggest threat to the DA now. Do you think you'll bring the DA under 50 in the Western Cape?
Um, one of in fact, I think the biggest election analyst in this country, Wayne Suzman, said that the PA now owns the narrative that it is the second largest, or it is the alternative to the DA in the Western Cape. And his statement was based on the performance of the Patriotic Alliance in the by-elections. A few by-elections where the DA wins is because the Freedom Front Plus would not field a candidate and they would encourage their people to vote for the DA. But even where they have gone together, we still win. A typical example is last week we won George by twice what the DA got.
Sure.
And this is not the first time we win George. Last year, there were 3 by-elections in George. We also won a by-election. So it is no longer a thought that the DA will be below 50. It is a fact that the Patriotic Alliance single-handedly has brought down the DA to its knees. That is why the DA in the Western Cape, when it campaigns, it does not speak about the ANC or any other party. They speak about the Patriotic Alliance. Because on the ground, the people are saying the PA is our future. We won last year a award in Kensington, right in Cape Town, in the heart of Cape Town, which is a stronghold of the DA. We won an award there from the DA. So that shows the confidence that the people in the Western Cape have. So it is no longer a matter of a dialogue. It is now a fact that the DA knows, that every party knows, that we will either take the Western Cape outright or we will win the Western Cape by a coalition. Helen Zille accepted that they are now a 20% party. And by that time, we have not demonstrated the power that we have, which means they are now a 10% party or a 9% party, the DA. So they know that the PA is there to rule and to change the lives of the people. The DA is not worried that the PA will take over. The DA is worried that when the PA takes over, the people of Langa, Kukuletu, Kailicha, Manningberg are going to see a difference in their lives. They are going to see infrastructure development. They are going to see job creation. They are going to see empowerment of business people. They are going to see their lives change. That's what the DA is worried about, because that's what is going to embarrass them. So to answer your question, it's no longer a thought. We've brought the DA to its knees, not only in the Western Cape, but in each and every colored area in this country. We just won late last year, Ward 1 in Solplaiki, Kimberley, the biggest ward, probably in the Northern Cape, but the biggest ward in Solplaiki. And we took it from the ANC. So this shows confidence of the electorate, that the electorate is saying, the Patriotic Alliance leadership is showing us through their actions what they can do when they're in government. Let's give them an opportunity.
It's going to be a fascinating election with many different options. I suppose one of the key things in terms of your own political career has been this new role as MMC in transport. And I have to admit, I was a bit surprised by when I saw potholes being fixed soon after you came in. And I think you've actually done a very good job just from that perspective in terms of Joburg. It's anecdotal because I don't go everywhere in the city, but I've certainly experienced a much quicker turnaround when it comes to things like potholes in the city. What's been behind that? Because I think a lot of people have been quick to criticize this new government, the mayor or the successive mayors that have followed, to the extent that when you've done things that the DA didn't do, they don't even appreciate those successes because the narrative is this government is terrible and it's failing. How have you actually approached transport in Joburg, and particularly this area of potholes on roads, because that's what really affects people, and that's better than a political billboard. If you can see a pothole getting fixed, you don't need a poster. What's been behind the success to the extent that you've scored it there?
One of the things that I realized when the team was presenting to me is that we have capacity, human resource capacity to implement. The biggest problem in government is lack of leadership, political leadership. Remember, there's leadership and there's management.
Sure.
Politicians must give leadership, and officials, executives must manage. But they must also be leaders in their own right. I read a book written by Mohammed Maktoum, the Prince of UAE and the ruler of Dubai. And it's a very small book. It was given to me by the ambassador of UAE to South Africa. And he tells a story of how Dubai got to where it is today.
Sure.
And he started with the vision of his father to start with a harbor on a desert. And one of the things that he raises is leadership, political leadership. So when I got into this position, you'd remember the media was asking me, what is my vision? On the same day, I've just been appointed. I'm still in council. And they're saying, what is my vision? And that's when I said, but I don't even know where the office is. I don't even know if it's got a bar or it's got a toilet. Can I just get to the office? And, But I needed to understand the department because I did not know it. And once I've understood, I realized that I need to bring the business mind, the business me, into this department. But I found a rare opportunity that as a businessman, you never let it slide. One region was on strike for almost 2 months for bonuses. Potholes were not being fixed, roads were not being fixed. And I went there to speak to them to understand what are the issues. And they then said, if I open my mouth, I must give them the time and the date when they're getting paid. And there were officials, executives there. And I said to myself, these people are senior to these ones. They can't get them to even listen to the CEO, who is the accounting officer at JRA, and to the political accounting office. Something is wrong here. And I thought about it. So I asked the CEO to dismiss all of them, those who were on strike, if they were not at work the following day. The following day, instead of getting their dismissal letters and an advert, because I said, as you give them dismissal letters, HR must be preparing an advert so that we can employ people within 7 days. South Africans are looking for jobs. I have no time for somebody who does not respect his job. And the guys were back at work the following day, and they've been the hardest working region. So I called the regional operations managers, the depot managers, the HODs, the senior people. And I said, I now understand where the problem is here. The problem is not with those guys on the ground.
Sure.
The problem is with you, because you are not managing them. Some of you come to work at 8 and leave at 9. That's why they are leaving at 11. Some of you are running your own businesses within the business of the city. You are sending them to go and sell asphalt to the driveways of people. They are dumping surplus asphalt at the parks. You cannot even tell them to respect your superiors, because they have this thing on you. So I'm giving you a last chance. If a depot is not functional, if the people are not going to work every morning and knocking off at the right time, I'm not firing them. Because when I showed leadership and dismissed them, they responded by going back to work.
Sure.
So I'm dismissing all of you. You will go and fight the battle with HR, but you won't be here. But I'll be having somebody that will manage those people. That will make sure that those people deliver on my mandate, which is service delivery, which is the mandate of government. And but I also listen to their challenges. I also listen to their issues, of which supply chain was also at the center of their problems. Right. Because they don't have tools of trade, they don't have this. And I called supply chain and HR, and I addressed them on how corrupt they have been. And I called the F word more than 30 times to make my point. Because in business, you have no time for personal feelings or egos. You need profit. You need results. And that is the mindset that I have at the Department of Transport. There was an asphalt where 60 million was spent. It was sitting there as a white elephant. An asphalt that produces 200 tons of asphalt per hour. You can fix the roads of Johannesburg and still sell asphalt to other municipalities and private companies and generate revenue, employ more young people to maintain our roads. So I recommissioned that asphalt. And I told them it is going to happen. Some of them came and said, hey, MMC, we want to. But there's a big syndicate that involves the private sector. So that this thing must not happen. Because the private sector is charging JRA exorbitant amounts to buy asphalt from them. In 6 months, that asphalt was recommissioned. It's still working today. And the asphalt that is fixing our roads is made there. Now I am looking for a budget to redesign the routes so that we can buy 10 trucks and produce more and do more roads and respond to gravel roads also. So I brought a work ethic that made a lot of these employees now, even those who resented me, to actually appreciate me because they understand that I've got nothing against anyone. I've not fired anyone at JRA. Those who have gone have left by themselves. Others is because of the corrupt nature of what they have been doing before I arrived. And when they get caught, they resign because they know that there's no political defense. I told the officials when I started, no one will get a political cover here. I don't care whether you know the president of any political party, including the Patriotic Alliance. You have no political cover. Your cover is your work ethic. Your cover is your results. Your cover is meeting your KPIs. That is your cover, your work, what you signed up for, what you get paid for. Anything outside of that will not protect you. So they did not like me at the beginning, but they realized that I'm not out for anyone. I just want results. And that's what they're giving. You saw the guys working overnight to unblock the KIs during flooding. Yes, they get paid overtime. But before, they didn't even care about overtime money. They just cared about, no, I'm not going. But because of the energy that I have brought, I've encouraged them to work. But I've also made it clear, we never politicize service delivery. I even said it in council in the presence of all political parties.
Sure.
We don't politicize service delivery. I'm not the MMC of the GLU. I'm the MMC of the citizens of Johannesburg. So if the opposition has won wards and there's challenges of potholes and stormwater, we are going to fix them because it is not for the councillor. It is for the citizens of Johannesburg that we have to serve. And I think that understanding has made the guys respond anywhere equally. Look, I'm just doing what I need to do. I think I deserve praise because the bar is so low. Sure. I came and I did little,
sure,
and everybody praises me. In fact, I am called Papa Action by councillors, including those in the opposition in council, because the bar is so low.
Yeah,
I believe that if I had more, I would do more. I wrote to the president. I gave a detailed breakdown of the bridges that are about to collapse, of which it's 92%.
Of bridges in
Only
Joburg.
8% of the bridges are in a best condition.
Oh my.
I wrote to the president, gravel roads, our road infrastructure that has lived beyond its lifespan, that has been affected by mining and illegal mining, that needs to be redone. The president has not responded. The MEC I've written to Shem, she was hoping she could assist. I wrote to the Minister of Public Works so that we can access that infrastructure grant that is meant for exactly this. I understand the minister was prepared to give me the money, but in the province, they were not happy with that. So if I had gotten more money, more grant money to fix the roads of Johannesburg, I think we would have been able to do better. Potholes are effects of a bigger problem. That's why you feel a pothole today, 2 weeks later it's there. Because there are underlying problems with our road infrastructure. It needs to be redone, a lot of it.
What needs to be done in the future? If you had all the budget at your disposal, what do you think in terms of the road infrastructure of Joburg needs to be done, and what needs to be prioritized to make it a long-term solution, so we're not just filling potholes every few weeks?
You redo the roads. We know which roads needs to be redone. You must take out that asphalt that is there.
The whole thing.
Whole thing. Take it out, take it to the plant. That plant can recycle, by the way. You just need to buy a crusher.
Right.
So this material, you take it there, you recycle it. You bring it back. And stabilize the road, deal with the effects of mining, and make sure that when you resurface it, it's proper and strong. The other issue is the issue of stormwater. We need to rebuild our stormwater infrastructure because when it was built 40 years, 50 years ago, the population was probably 20% of what the population of Joburg is today. And you've got other issues of climate change that has affected our infrastructure because of how things are happening. It rains at awkward times, there's floods, so there's a lot that you need to change that is underground. You have people who have built on top of the services of the city, and therefore we can't access those services when there's a problem. You've got water that is running all over, and water is the biggest enemy of asphalt, of tar. That is why when you look at London Road, when you drive from the west to the east, on the left side, the road is fine. 2 cars are driving there because there's no water on the surface. Water is running alongside the paving, going into the KIs. Sure. But on the right-hand side, water is flowing out of these people who have built where they're not supposed to build. The taps are running 24/7. Water is going onto the road, damaging the road. People are doing laundry there. People are fixing cars there. That oil is going onto the road. It's eating. It's damaging our road infrastructure. When you say, let us relocate these people and demolish these things. No. You can't do that. Hey, they must pray that I don't become the premier or the mayor. I'm demolishing because service delivery for me is very important.
No, and I think many South Africans are with anyone who says, look, we've got massive structural problems here. If we don't do something soon, a bridge is going to collapse. and it feels like up to now government and governance has been about massaging people's feelings and working around the edges so you don't do anything really big. I'm shocked by this bridge statistic. Like, is a bridge going to collapse in Joburg if we don't do something?
Two bridges have already collapsed. Remember the smaller bridges, the bigger bridges.
Sure.
Bridges have already collapsed.
I know Herman Mashaba, when he was mayor, shut down a bridge for a while because they were worried like a massive one was going to.
Yes. So unfortunately, the ruling party's government wants things to collapse. That's where you steal more. I want to rehabilitate before collapse because you spend less. But you also save your infrastructure. But you also save the lives of people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because this bridge can collapse while somebody's driving on it. They don't care. They only care when it has collapsed and they come with their cheap suits, cheap ties. Some of them, of course, expensive from stealing money. And they come and portray themselves as if they care. But they are there to see how much money they are going to steal. That is the reality. Because if they took this matter seriously, they would have looked at that business case and they would have said, no. Johannesburg is a flagship city for South Africa.
Absolutely.
It is called a world-class African city. Now, all over the world, my brother, any country that comes up, the first thing that it prides itself in is its roads, infrastructure, and bridges. You've seen Singapore, you've seen Dubai, you've seen China.
Sure.
The small towns in China, you look at the bridges. So road infrastructure is key to economic development of the area because, and Joburg especially because it connects all the other provinces.
Sure.
So it is the economic hub of this country. You cannot have potholes in an economic hub. You cannot have gravel roads in an economic hub. And it can be done. New York was worse than Joburg. Look at New York today. You look at Rwanda. Kigali was worse than Joburg. Today, Kigali is the cleanest city in Africa.
Sure.
So it shows you that with the political will, it can be done. But now you look at Joburg, a flagship, an economic hub. It has got more hijacked buildings than legally occupied buildings. Yet you have a government that has got the police, metro police, provincial traffic police, and the army. Criminals are taking money that must go to the city, and they are doing as they please. And it is business as usual. That is why when I acted as the mayor, I went to that bigger problem to go and address it. But unfortunately, there's no political will to resolve these things. But God willing, I will be the premier. If not, I will be the mayor in 2026, and things will change. But I'm confident that I'm the incoming premier, Mr. Mpofu. Don't mistake me. So I'm saying I have the political will. I have the wisdom that God gives me that I pray for every day of my life. And I have the energy that God has given me to change things, to turn things around. And my team supports me. I don't want to lie to you. My team at Transport, my team at GRA, my team at MTC, my team at Metrobus support me. But I also get the support from the mayor. I get the support from the city manager. I got the support from the officials in the group. So it can be done. It is just that we have a government that has created a culture of stomach politics. Don't care about service delivery, people will still vote for you. And South Africans need to wake up. We are not in politics. We have put money in politics, myself and Gaten McKenzie, because we want to leave a legacy that one day our children and our children's children will be able to say, our country is better today because of our fathers. Fortunately, God took us through a lot of journeys, including crime and prison, so that when we are here, we are not impressed by criminality. We actually understand how important to fight crime through a journey of lifestyle, so that we are not impressed by those things. We are focused on what needs to be done for our people.
In terms of crime, the PA has been very vocal on getting tougher on crime, and you've positioned yourselves as a party that understands how we can really get to the bottom of the problem of crime in our country. Talk to us about how you think, from a national perspective now, we can solve this problem. I think violent crime is at 20-year highs as we speak right now.
Indeed.
It's out of control. The government doesn't seem to have a clue how to deal with it. What would the PA do to get a handle on this crisis, which just seems to spiral out of control every year?
I think you're giving them credit by mentioning only crime. They don't have a clue on how to do anything.
Okay, well, fair.
Look, crime fighting is a very straightforward and simple thing to do. You know the criminals. You go for them. You establish units that deals with specific crimes.
Sure.
But these units must be units made up of men and women who have gone through proper training, who psychologically understands that it is about the country. Not a unit that would say, when we find 100 grams of cocaine, let's take 50% and keep 50%. Not a unit that would say, when it gets into a house with the money that was robbed, they say, no, let's take 40%, let's give 60%. But you also beef up your police stations. We've got technology today that assists you. Body cams, cameras on the streets, cameras that are able to even talk to each other, cameras that profile people. Why is the country not investing in those things? But also you need to increase the sentences. If somebody comes into your house and traumatizes you, robs you, traumatizes you, it's called housebreaking. And that person gets 3 years, 4 years. You need to then say, how do we then give sentences to crimes that are committed? That becomes a deterrent. You can't have somebody who rapes an infant being given 25 years. After 18 years, that person is out. He might even be out after 16 years. So you need to say, this person must die. He does not deserve to live. That's why we are bringing back the death penalty. You must hang them. Injection is too expensive. You must hang them and kill them. The people who kill, who rape young people, who rape old people, the people who kill people, women, after raping them, these people must be killed. Our country crime levels are at a point where you must go fire to fire when you are dealing with crime. There's a country that I saw now. I can't just remember on top of my head. They have just passed a law that when you rape an infant, you must be castrated. So that country is tired of that crime. We are not tired enough of these crimes. So the PA, you've got so many prisons in this country. You even have private prisons. People still escape from private prisons. That's how rotten the system is.
I see someone recently just escaped. We've had the whole Thabo Bester situation.
Yes.
Someone just escaped a week ago or something.
Yes. So it shows you how rotten the system is. So you need to break down the system and bring a new system Rwanda has done it. Kagame has done it. Do you know that the rhinos in South Africa are in Rwanda? The rhinos have been taken to Rwanda for safekeeping.
Right.
South African government acknowledges that they are useless when it comes to crime. And Kagame said, bring them here. I don't have to guard them. Nobody will guard them. But nobody will touch them. That is political leadership. You don't have that here. You bring Gaten McKenzie and Kunene to run this country. Crime will be something of the past because it can be done. You change the laws, you arrest, you tighten the screws, you establish courts that deal with particular crimes, and they deal with them decisively. In some countries, they even establish units where robbers know when this unit comes, they are not there to arrest. They have been trained to look at the head. They take the head, there's no court case. They operate outside of the constitution. When there's a crime and they are called, they take you. Today we've got kidnapping in this country. That is not the crime of South Africans. South Africans don't kidnap. So even international syndicates have now come to this country to implement crimes that are not known to South Africans. But they are using South Africans to drive cars with their licenses after they kidnap people. So that when police stop them, it's a South African criminal that is driving. So they are introducing our people to crimes that they are not used to.
Sure.
Being a hitman has become a career in this country. It just shows you that we have no government. We have no leadership. We have people who are heartless. And I don't understand how South Africans still vote for them. They are heartless, my brother. You've got a system that spends billions in advertising that teenage girls must not fall pregnant. And when they fall pregnant, they spend even more billions to pay them for every child that they make. How do you bring a system to overpopulate the country like that? Create more poverty in the country. You must be heartless. You cannot be a parent. You have this government that has opened up borders for people to come here. Anybody who is illegal in a country does not have a place to stay. So, what do? They rob, they rape, they steal, they kill. That is why areas like Deep Slaughter are up in arms, because they are experiencing the death at the hands of illegal immigrants. And you have got a president and the whole cabinet that is fine with that. That is actually defending it. So, we will do things differently. I think we have proven it. They are now talking about auditing spaza shops. How do you audit? Why don't you send, you know where the spaza shops are. Why can't you send your police? You have established immigration officers, but you are saying mayors must go and audit. Like, these guys are clueless. You populate this country, every town, with immigration officers arresting people. That's what is done all over the world. You find immigration officers everywhere. And they ask you, where's your passport? You don't have a passport, you get arrested and deported. Here, people loiter, people get arrested for rape, they get bail, they don't even have papers. These are the things that are coming to us. Here you have a Zimbabwean with no papers being the chairperson of an SGP. Here you have a Nigerian who is an executive who is terrorizing our people in a public institution. So, the PA's mission is one and one only: to rid this country of crime. We know how to do it. and it will be done.
Well, Mr. Kenny Kunene, I know you're a stickler for time. So at 1 hour on the dot, we will thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us on SMWX. Thank you for outlining the PA's perspective in more detail. And let's see how 2024 unfolds, and who knows what position we might be speaking to you next. You'll come back even if you're Premier, right?
There'll be no government at national without the PA. There'll be no government in the Western. In fact, the PA will be leading government in the Western Cape and the Northern Cape, and there'll be no government in Gauteng without the PA. In fact, the PA might just lead government in Gauteng. The people, I think, are waking up, and it is not about party politics. It is about the reality of what is happening on the ground.
Well, we look forward to speaking to you when you occupy one of those positions. Don't forget about us when you know.
Never, not you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it.